So this was not actually a planned video because I only put out one a day, but I received a comment in the video I posted today, and I felt the need to respond to it because this is something that's been on my mind a lot, and it's something I've gone back and forth about talking about, and I've hesitated talking about it because I know it'll evoke a negative reaction in a lot of people. But it's something on my mind, so I want to discuss it. So even if you feel like this isn't relevant to you, I would, ask you just to hang in for a few seconds. I promise I will be quick because I actually I collected some thoughts because I wanted this to be coherent and kind of concise. So I'm just going to share them with you. So, all right. So about maybe a month and a half ago, I read a book called Woke Racism, How a New Religion Has Betrayed Black America by John McWhorter, here's a picture of him. He is a professor of linguistics at Columbia University. Some of you may have seen him on TV. He's really gotten a lot of publicity for this book, and he's done The View and a lot of talk shows, and it's actually on the New York Times bestseller list as well. Anyway, for those of you who are not familiar with the book, the thesis of the book is that there is a group of people in the United States who espouse virtue signaling and have really no interest in helping people of color. Rather, they are concerned with showing a moral superiority and believe that essentially they are enlightened and it is their job to spread their enlightenment. And they do this by seeing an imbalance of power in every facet of life. And if somebody does not think like them, then they are labeled as racist. And, that's essentially the thesis of the book. And what I wanted to talk about is that increasingly over the past year, I have also seen this play out in what I will refer to as neurodivergent social media. So social media that is about ADHD or autism or individuals with neurodevelopmental differences. And what I have seen is a very homogenous group of pretty much all white, almost all female individuals who are typically in their 20s and 30s and have taken a position that people such as myself who have dedicated their careers to helping individuals with neurodevelopmental differences are ableists for trying to help your kids fit into a world that will never cater to them. And I have come up with a term for this philosophy based on Professor McWhorter's book, which I call neurodivergent wokeism. I want to be really clear here that I am not using the term wokeism in the historical context. I am using it in the context of this book and how it's really been used in the past several years. So in this neurodivergent wokeism, the belief system is that you must agree with anything somebody who identifies as having a neurodevelopmental difference says, and that they should be in charge of everything because they know better, because they have a neurodevelopmental difference. And I kind of use this analogy. So I have allergies. So apparently then I know more than an immunologist would know because I have allergies, which, I think is a ridiculous premise. Anyway, so, part of this also is their belief system is that if you try to help individuals, such as I do, you are what they call an ableist. An ableist is basically somebody who discriminates against somebody with a disability. They believe that teaching, kids how to navigate socially in the world is ableist. I see many posts from, particularly there's a group of speech-language pathologists who believe this, younger ones, that teaching social skills is abusive and it's ableist to do that. Some even believe that helping to build executive function skills that will help cultivate independence is ableist. And to have an expectation of somebody with ADHD or autism as being a productive member of a society by working one day is also ableist. I was actually personally called an ableist because somebody said, one of them said to me, if you think that somebody's self-worth is in their ability to work, well, then you're an ableist. Well, it's not that their self-worth is based on their ability to work, but being a productive member of society, for me, is about being as independent as you possibly can and working to the best extent of your ability. I have been called an ableist by some of these individuals. I'm sure this video will elicit a lot more name calling. Please keep in mind that, I am the son of a mother who had multiple sclerosis from the time I was 7 until she passed away when I was 21. So I spent my life around people with physical challenges, not just my mother, but, I would go to physical therapy with her and When I was 11, she moved into, like an assisted living facility for people with physical disabilities. So being around people with physical challenges was very normal to me and a part of my life for a long time. But that's irrelevant because I'm still an ableist because of what I do. So really this premise that, trying to move somebody with any neurodevelopmental difference towards functioning in the world is ableist, and it's wrong. And I was inspired to share this tonight because my video that was posted today, a comment was left. And I'm going to read the comment to you, and I'm not going to mention the person's name, and I actually did not post their comment because I don't want them to feel singled out. So her comment was, "Why are you teaching kids to mask versus teaching neurotypicals to understand?" So here's my answer to her. Number one, I don't separate people into two separate groups of neurotypicals and the neurodiverse because the kids who I have the privilege of working with have no interest in being labeled neurodiverse, nor do they have any interest in being in this exclusive neurodivergent club. Maybe some do, not the ones I work with, but when I've asked kids their feeling about this, they have a difficult time understanding why adults feel compelled to label them. The next thing is, regarding the term masking, if teaching kids with ADHD to not have one-way conversations where they talk at others about their interests is teaching them to mask, then I would tell any of you who don't believe in, quote, masking, that you should tell your kids to walk out of class whenever they're bored. Furthermore, if they're having a conversation with somebody and they get bored, they should walk away. If they say something offensive or hurtful or even racist to somebody, well, I guess that's the other person's problem because your kid should never have to mask, right? My experience has been that people with neurodevelopmental differences, they want friendships and intimate relationships like anybody else. And for the most part, I found they don't particularly feel called to, cultivate friendships or relationships specifically just with people whose brains work exactly like them, which I think is healthy and normal. And relationships require reciprocity, right? There's a give and take in relationships. We have to show interest in others. We have to think about others' thoughts and feelings just as they think about ours. So, according to this individual who asked why I'm teaching kids to mask, well, it's because I want kids to be capable of having the friendships and relationships that they want. Thus, they need to learn reciprocity in relationships. So what I would say to this individual who left a comment is, if you want to spend your life teaching, the neurotypicals, quote, to understand why someone with ADHD may say something offensive or blow up at them or have a one-sided conversation and they just need to deal with it, well, that's your right. You can spend your life teaching that. But I would ask you, is that about you feeling virtuous, or is it about trying to change the world for the neurodiverse? And is actually helping anybody, or are you doing that to feel righteous? Okay. And I would, also ask if maybe your time and energy can be spent doing something more constructively. And, the last thing I'll mention is, if you believe that you're helping the neurodiverse by teaching them that they should never have to hide how they're feeling, they should never have to think about anybody else, because that would be masking, that sounds like a recipe for profound narcissism. So if you want to teach your children to be profoundly narcissistic and never have to think about anybody else because you don't want them masking, that's certainly your right to do that as a parent. But I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, and if you consider myself the parent of a son who had a physical disability, who's dedicated his career to educating myself and to helping individuals with neurodevelopmental differences and ableist, that's an insult I will proudly own. And, I think that the neurodivergent wokeism mindset, it's profoundly condescending to the kids and individuals I've had the privilege of working with. And if you believe that my video tonight about teaching kids to think about others and not have one-sided conversations is masking, and that makes me an ableist, I'm okay with that. So, thanks for hanging in here. Thanks for watching. And please feel free to leave any questions or comments below, including, calling me names as well. That's all right. I can handle it. I'm a big boy.